Hi, and welcome to the world's smallest kitchen. My name is the Pauper's Budget. Today I will be making a beef ramen burrito bite. And as I create this, I will explain to you how I came up with this idea. This is great for weekend snacks, friends that come over, or if you just plain want something that tastes a little different than your normal beef ramen dinner. It's very cheap and economical. You can make this for under $10 and you can feed approximately 5 to 10 people, depending on how many tortilla shells you use. As I explain this, I will explain a little bit about myself. This is my first video on the World's Smallest Kitchen YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy it. Hi. If you notice, I have some ground beef that I have taken out of the fridge. Earlier, I took the ground beef and thawed it out. Usually when you do ground beef, you bring it up to room temperature, but today I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put it in the skillet. Actually it's a wok, which I bought this wok at a thrift store, as a matter of fact. I paid about $5 for it. No, I paid less than that for it. I found the lid that fit it, because it didn't have a lid. I found the lid that fit this, and I put the lid onto the wok and then took it up to this checkout, and it was $1.99 on the lid, so that's what they charged me for the wok. It's a stainless steel wok. I don't know what the brand is, but I have gotten a lot of really good use out of it. I've boiled things in it, I've made noodles in it, I have fried scrambled hamburger in it, I've made omelets in it, sorta. I sorta made omelets in it. Right now, I've got one package of the beef in there. That should be plenty. Now I'm going to add some salt. This is kosher sea salt. I wish it was Maldon, M-A-L-D-O-N salt. And the reason I like Maldon salt is because the Maldon tends to melt when it gets next to heat, and it comes in little shavings. Oh, and this is plastic. This is for picking up stuff out of a deep fryer or for scrambling things. I use it when I cook chicken in a deep fryer. I dip it out. They got metal ones, but I prefer this one. A friend of mine gave me this, and I've used it for a while. So I'm going to scramble up the hamburger, and then once I scramble up the hamburger, I'm going to take the hamburger out, and then I will probably drain. Well, actually, I'll add the water to the wok when I do my top ramen and put it in there. I use beef ramen. I break up the noodles in the package. I open up the package and then I take out the beef packets, seasoning packets. I use all of them. I will probably be using 4 beef ramen packets today with this burger. And the reason I'm going to use so much is because I'm going to make a few days worth of beef ramen. Now you can take and use shrimp with my recipe. You can do the shrimp ramen and add little shrimps to it, mini shrimps or baby shrimps or whatever you want to call them. You can cut up the jumbo shrimps, but I prefer to use the small ones. With the shrimp flavor, you can also add crab, or you can add lobster, depending on what you got. If you got any leftover lobster, it'd work really great with that ramen. So, let me see what I'm going to be doing here. It's about ready for me to drain this. I'll be back as soon as this is all drained out. Now I am bringing the water up to a boil, and as you can see, it's starting to steam up kind of nice. This is the ramen that I use. Maruchan ramen noodles, I guess is what it's called. Anyway, it's the beef ramen. I made the burger and I added some salt to it. I drained it out and it's sitting in this. And I will add this to the ramen once the ramen gets going. Now, what I'm going to do is I take the noodle and I just, inside the packet, I just break it up like I'm doing here. I do that with all 4 packs of the noodles. I put them in 1 pack at a time, and then I go and I break up the second pack, and that works out good. Okay, let's see. That's the first package, and that's the packed beef package. This is a very simple dish to make, but I really enjoy it. I've got more expensive dishes I'll make later, like grilled salmon, my Gento burgers, which is made with Sargento cheese. So you want to constantly be stirring the noodles once they're all in here, because if you don't, it could get away from you, and you don't want to drain none of the water out. You want to evaporate the water out of the bowl. I mean the wok as it's cooking. I might have put a little too much water in there. Oh, but we shall see. Okay, that was nifty. Constantly stir, because you don't want the noodle to stick to the bottom of the pan. The reason I leave some of the grease in there from when I cooked the hamburger was because it'll keep the noodles from sticking together. You could add oil or salt, whichever you choose to add, but I leave just a little bit of the cooking grease in there from when I made the scrambled hamburger. Now, there's other people that do videos similar to this, and they're much better at this than I am. This is my very first one. So, what you want to do is constantly stir. You want to kind of flip. You want to give it enough time to where you can let the water heat up, but you want to not make it, you don't want to leave it sitting by itself too long. I'm going to put the lid on, and I'll come back to this in a minute. I'm back. It's starting to boil really good now. I got the heat up on high. I should turn it down just a tad. But you got to constantly flip the noodles through. For one thing, you don't want them to get too soft. If you overcook the noodle, it becomes really limp, and you can smash it and make it into almost like a dough, almost, because basically noodles are made out of dough. And sometimes you can make the noodle too thin. I mean, you can make the noodle too soft, and it kind of starts tasting like gum, almost like a dough. You know, like when you get a pizza and the bread dough for the pizza crust isn't completely cooked all the way, and you bite into it and you taste like a dough. Well, this is working out good. The steam is really starting to come out of here, and it's starting to thicken up a bit. I'm constantly flipping, instead of stirring, I'm constantly flipping it from right to left. From where you're at, it probably looks a little different, but from where I'm at, it is a right to left. And I want to keep just enough water in this so I can put the beef packets in here, and it doesn't dry out. There's nothing worse than a ramen noodle that's way too dry. Unless you're going to fry it, then that's a little different. You can do that and it'd be okay. But like for me, I take the noodle and I leave enough water in it, which I think I did put too much water in it to begin with, but I take and I keep flipping it like this, and as you can tell, it's starting to get thicker. That means that the noodle is getting bigger. The noodle was small, and now it's starting to fill out because of the water. And when that happens, it's also collecting starch from the noodle. And when you drain out the water as it's cooking, when the noodle is starting to, I don't know if you can hear this, but as I'm moving it, I can hear, it's almost like a scorching sound where the ramen and the water are starting to separate a little. So in a few, I'm going to be checking on this again and stir some more. I'm going to put the lid on it, and I'm going to make sure that it heats up more. Okay, now the ramen is thickened up enough. I can definitely hear it scorching on the bottom. It's thickened up enough. It's got enough water out of it to where I can add the noodle packets. So what I'm going to do is turn the heat off for this. I'm going to turn the heat off, and I'm going to add the ramen packets to it. You got to kind of take the ramen packets and you got to stir it really, really good. You got to make sure that you don't concentrate the ramen beef packets too much into where the center is at. You got to kind of spread it around. That's why I use all 4 of these, because it stirs up and it becomes really beefy in flavor. Now these at one time had MSG in them, and I would probably use about a half a pack. Instead of 4, I'd probably use just 2. But since there's no MSG in these anymore, and I want all the beef flavor I can get, I use all of these. Now, I'm going to stir it. There's other ways of making this, I guess. This is my favorite way to do it. It's nice and easy, and it'll make a really good quick dinner for you. if you live by yourself or you're a student at school, I suggest getting a wok. I'm telling you, this thing is great for doing noodles. It's great for doing scrambled eggs. It's great for doing stir fry. You could even add some oil to it, and you could even deep fry in it. I haven't done that yet because I have this, my Presto Options kitchen kettle for deep frying. I do onion rings in that. I deep fry fish. I use this for doing chicken. This is my Philips air fryer. I'm due for a new one. A friend of mine gave me this and it's in bad shape. It still works, but it's beat up. Okay, now, see how this looks? Right here? That's the ramen. That's the way I wanted it. Now, I'm going to add the hamburger to it. I usually put more hamburger in it, but this should be enough. When you do a hamburger and you're putting it in there, you want it to kind of almost cover the top. Almost. And then you want to just kind of stir it up. You can add vegetables to this. You can add fried onions if you want, like sauteed onions. I don't like to do that. I like this just to be the beef and the the beef and the ramen, and with a little salt on the hamburger. You don't want to salt the hamburger too much because the ramen has got a lot of salt in it from those beef packets. Now, this is this. Now, when my stove cools down, I'm going to transfer this pot, this wok, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to put my Wolfgang Puck griddle on here, and I'm going to make the burrito bites. So, without further ado, I'm going to move that as soon as it cools down, and I will be back in a minute. This is my Wolfgang Puck griddle. On this side it's a griddle, and on the other side you can flip it over. You take this out and you can flip it over, and it's got grills on it, but I haven't used that yet. I've just used this. I've got this turned on to 350. I want to get this nice and warm, because once it's nice and warm, I'm going to take the tortilla shells and I'm going to warm them up. Normally I'd put these in the microwave, but I didn't today. I didn't put these in the microwave and warmed them up so they're more pliable. If you use them straight out of the thing, or the package, they'll probably break on you if you're not careful. So as this is warming up, I'm putting a tortilla shell here, so I can take some of my ramen that I got, and I can put some of it in here. This is probably about enough for what I'm doing. Then what I want to do is take this. It's starting to warm up on me pretty good. I want to take this, and then I'll take this and this, and then I'll wrap it up in a burrito, and I'll put it over here to grill. I usually do 2 at a time. Because it works better that way. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this large pan that I've got up above me, I'm going to take this large pan and I'm going to set it on top to hold it in place. Now, when they make stuff like this at the at the Taco Bell, I mean, they when they make it at the Taco Bell, they use a flat iron which is hot on the top and the bottom. But since I don't have that, I have to hold this down. Now I'm just going to make 2 for now, just to kind of give you an idea of how I make these. You can make as many as you want, but when you get done with them and they're browned on both sides, you can take one with your hand and eat it like a burrito, but it's actually ramen noodles. And it'll turn out really good. So let me see what the bottom's going to look like. Yep, it's not hot enough yet. You want them to be grilled on both sides. See how it's starting to brown? You want that to happen on both sides. So what I'll do is put both of these down some more. Now, a lot of times I would let my grill get to where it's smoking, where you can see smoke coming off the griddle. I didn't do that today because I didn't want to get it too hot, and it's extremely late. It's about 3:15 in the a.m. my time while I'm making this video. So now let me double check and see how the other side looks. Yep, that's pretty good. It could be browned a little bit more, but you kind of get the idea. I put the lid back on. You can use a cast iron. You don't want anything like really, really, really heavy because you don't want to mash it down. You just want to grill it to where it's just warm enough and to where you can get a nice browning on both sides, because that's going to taste really good when you bite into it, that crunch. That's what I usually do when I go places and get a burrito. If they can do it, I have them grill the burrito once it's made. There was a restaurant over by my house that made Mexican food, burritos and things, called oh shoot, I can't even think of the name of it now. Anyway, it was a Mexican restaurant, and that Mexican restaurant got the bright idea to grill the burrito shell, or the tortilla shell, before they made the burrito. Well, that made the shell too hard, and when they tried to make the burrito, the shell busted. I showed them how to make it, and that's just not their style, I guess. But I tend to like it. Yeah, see how brown that is? That's the way I wanted it. Now I'm going to flip this back over. Yeah, see all of that? It's nice and brown. You don't want to brown the edges on the sides. You just want the tops and the bottoms to be browned. So let me put this back on. And when I get it finished, I will cut into one and let you see what it looks like. But you can add cheese to this if you didn't want to do any like the beef package and you just wanted a noodle with the hamburger. You could do a cheeseburger ramen burrito bite. Yeah, you could do that too. I'm concentrating more on the cooking. That's why you don't see my face, except in the beginning of the video. So this should be done. Oh, look at that. That's what I wanted right there. Yep, that's going to be really nice. So the thing about this is they say that that this is supposed to be cooking evenly, but down here I think it gets a little hotter than it should. So what I'll do is I'll turn this off. I will put my pan back up where it goes. It's going to be warm, so I want to make sure I don't touch it because I don't want to burn myself. There we go. Right there. And I will take off the burrito and put it on this platter if I can. I got to get these tortillas out of the way so that way I need more room. That's why this is called the world's smallest kitchen, and it's called that for a reason, because my kitchen is so tiny. Okay, now let me take this cord and unplug it just to be safe. I will take this and undo it so it'll help cool down faster. Let's see, I will pull this over here. If you watch this video, you can kind of tell me if there's anything I need to do to make it better. I don't have the greatest equipment. I'm using a Nikon 831, no, an 830. An L830, yes. A Nikon L830 digital camera. But it's got video quality and it works for me. I'm called the pauper's budget for a reason, because I don't have a lot of money. And for those of you that like good food but don't have a lot of money, this is a channel for you. So here we go. Now I'm going to just cut off the tip and give you an idea of what it looks like up close and personal. That's it, right there. It's got the ramen and the noodles, and you bite into it and it's really delicious, which I'm about to do now. Mmm. Mmm. Very good, but very hot. And you see, it's got the ramen and the beef. And when you bite into it, it's delicious, delicious, delicious. Well, that's been the world's smallest kitchen, brought to you by the pauper's budget. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll be bringing you more videos as soon as I can. Have a good night.